You know, it's one thing to do well in academics. It's another thing to just do well in athletics. But this guy does both. Zack Heeman, an offensive lineman for the Scarlet Knights. What does it mean to be able to blend academics and athletics and do them both well?
It really comes down to just being committed to everything and not selling yourself short in any aspect, both athletically and on the field. No, it's just how I was raised and how my parents have taught me to act both on and off the field.
So you've already graduated. You're now in grad school. Tell us about your different majors along the way.
So I got my undergrad in psychology with a minor in education, and I just started my master's program in school counseling.
Do you want to be a guidance counselor someday at the high school level?
Yes, I really I want to be a school counselor at a high school and coach too. So I really am interested in working with kids before going off to college.
A lot of your life has been shaped by the loss of your brother. You've spent so much time in suicide prevention. Can you talk about how it has molded you as a person?
Yeah, so I lost my brother to suicide my junior year of high school. He was a sophomore at the University of Illinois. Definitely, obviously, the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. But it gave me a clear purpose and a passion for, like I said, working with kids before going off to college. It's just something that's both suicide prevention and overall depression and mental health as a whole. It's just something that's not talked about enough.
Would you say this is something that has shaped you in terms of your development, your focus, and what you want to do with your life?
Yes, 100%. It's definitely given me a clear purpose as to what I want to do with my life. Working with kids before going off to college, kind of giving them that mentality of if you have a change of pace in your career of any sort, that it's okay, and also just being able to open, especially for men, being willing to come forward and speak.
That's a big thing because a lot of people are afraid to talk about this, but I think all of a sudden we're talking a lot about suicide and we're talking about what we can do to prevent it. It's something that I think a lot of people need to be aware of.
No, 100%. I think in the last year or so, I think it's come forward, and especially men. I think people need to be willing to come forward and speak and express their emotions, because if you bottle up, it kind of leads to a downward slope.
Soup kitchens, community cleanups, Operation Shoebox, Out of the Darkness Suicide Prevention Walk. You've been involved in so many community activities. What's your overall philosophy in giving back?
It's really just how I was raised. My parents both raised both my brother and I in just such a tremendous way, and it's a way to thank the community, both Rutgers and my parents, as to how I'm so blessed and fortunate for my situation.
Do you enjoy it?
I love doing it. It's definitely just to get away from all the football stuff, and you can just to see the reactions and the emotions that all the people that you interact with. It's definitely worthwhile.
So you've got a chance to win the Campbell Trophy, which would be at the National Football Foundation dinner in New York in December. What would that be like?
It would be incredible. The last person to win it was Brian Leonard here at Rutgers. So just to be in the same conversation with him, with anything and any aspect of life, it's truly an honor.
Do you think guys like Keith Lumpkin and Chris Muller and J.J. Denman and Derek Nelson and Brian Leone, all those guys kind of paved the way for you, former linemen here at Rutgers?
Absolutely. They kind of set the standard for me. And as to how to really act both on and off the field. I think a lot of guys take for granted in terms of what kind of impact that they can have on younger guys, and they certainly had a tremendous impact on me.
So what do you tell the younger guys in the locker room in terms of comportment and in terms of handling themselves with class?
I just tell them, anytime anyone comes up to me, I just tell them to be the best version of themselves. Anything you do, you need to represent your parents, your family, and the university. So that's kind of just the overall message that I try to give to the younger guys.
What has it meant to you to be a part of this Rutgers program in terms of what it has to offer for internships and for work opportunities?
I'll tell you what, when you think of Rutgers, there's literally anything that you can want, any dreams or aspirations that you want, you can achieve it here as long as you're willing to work. And I think that's the message that Coach Ash, that's the message that Pat Hobbs has sent to a lot of people, and I think it's really starting to catch fire.
A.J. Blazek, the offensive line coach, had a great quote about you. He said, "As good a leader as I've had in my 20 years of coaching." Is that humbling?
I mean, coming from him and how he carries himself as a coach, that's a tremendous honor.
Do you think one of the most emotional moments of your collegiate career was the victory at Illinois, because that's where your brother attended?
Yes, that's where my whole family's from, so they all came to the game, and just being able to play at the field. I've seen pictures of him at the stadium. He was this big, he would go to all the games freshman and sophomore year. So just being able to play at that field and get a win there it was a surreal feeling for me.
So what's your message to the Rutgers fans in terms of the patience they need to exert during this time of growth as you build for the future?
The biggest message I can give to you guys is just to stay patient in the sense that we have the right core in terms of the coaching and the culture that Coach Ash has set for us. I know it's not the results that we want on the field right now, but in due time, I'm truly confident that if we stay on course as to how we're acting, practicing, both and on the field as well, or off the field as well, I really think you're going to see some results.
And how proud are you to wear that block R?
No, I'd been to games since I was little. I think I was at a Rutgers Cincinnati game before the Louisville game in 2007, and just being able to look down and, I mean, we were on like the upper deck and not even be able to see any of the players run around like ants. So just to be able to, at some point, for me to be able to play here, I'm so incredibly blessed to be able to play here.
Zach, a pleasure talking to you. I know someday if you go back to Mount Olive, they'll be happy that you come back there and become a guidance counselor, or maybe it's somewhere else, but you're going to do great in the society, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Zack Heeman, our special guest, big number 79. We'll take a short break. More R football coming up.